Hello, friends. I'm your Vitamin girl. Are you tired, run down, listless? Do you poop out at parties?
Have you ever wondered what might make someone's voice go from that to this?
No, I wouldn't try to top what we did. We had it too good.
This video is actually in response to a subscriber's question, basically asking what happened to Lucile Ball's voice. Apparently she sounded one way, and then at the end of her life she sounded totally different. And with an iconic voice like hers, it does beg the question, what could cause someone to sound like this? So in this video, that's what we're talking about. What's up everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Destiny and I'm a licensed speech language pathologist. I typically take videos on the internet and analyze them and give my perspective as a speech language pathologist as to what's going on in the video. I also do various informational or educational videos just on the various topics around communication and the various disorders. If you are interested in that, then definitely take a look at some of the other videos on my channel because I put a lot of time into them and I hope that they are helpful to you all. So Lucy has an incredibly iconic voice. She is a true American icon. She was a true household name, doing things with her show that no one had ever done before and really changing what Hollywood was. Before that point, a lot of the live filmed shows were done in New York, and her changing her show to be filmed in California basically started a trend that is still seen to this day. So she is a true icon and everyone knows what she sounds like, but I think everyone knows what she sounded like in her heyday based off of the many shows that we see, especially the black and white ones. But less people know about what she sounded like at the end of her life. And so I think it's important to, of course, look at what she sounded like before, just a reminder. So let's take a look at a video of her when she was very young in the 1950s, filming the very early days of her show.
The answer to all your problems is in this little bottle, Vitamin. Vitamin contains vitamins, meat, vegetables, and minerals. Yes, with Vitamin, you can spoon your way to health. All you do is take a tablespoonful after every meal.
Now you take some.
Oh. It's so tasty, too.
Obviously, she sounds great. And just like all the other videos that I've done, when I talk about what someone sounded like before, it's important to keep in mind that young people sound differently than older people. Your voice will change over time. I mean, even me, like listening to myself as a teenager, as opposed to, a 30-something-year-old, I already hear a little bit more bass in my voice, and that's normal. It happens, especially with women. So typically with men, you might see kind of a heightening of their voice. So they might sound deeper, when they're in their 20s and 30s. And then when they get to be an older man, their voice may go higher. Sometimes they go lower too, but typically you'll see a change. And then for women, you see a deepening of their voice over time. Has to do with hormones, has to do with muscles changing and like the elasticity of the muscles and just the overall mechanism of the body and how it changes over time. So with that being said, she sounds good here. There was a video that I found that I want to draw your attention to, and it's because we can already hear the range of her voice in this video, and I think we don't really pay attention to that enough. I mean, I'm a speech therapist, so of course I do, but it's important to pay attention to the fact that her voice had a deeper range that she often played around with. And just in general, she did play around with the ranges of her voice with the high pitched and the nasal, but she did get a low register when she did this iconic cry. So let's listen to that.
Bill Foster's out of town and Grace Foster stayed here, and Ricky said he was going down to talk to Fred and he went to Grace Foster's apartment instead. He must have a good, simple, logical explanation for it. Oh, Lucy, you sure are sensible.
And as you can hear, her voice goes significantly lower when she's doing that cry. And I think something to keep in mind is that she is an actress and a performer, and she didn't just do TV, she did live TV, and you always have to project to your audience when you're doing something live. And so that's always going to make you kind of have a forceful production of your voice, which is not always great when trying to maintain total vocal health. And something else that is significant about Lucille Ball is that she often performed in Broadway plays and other platforms where there were live audiences. And again, whenever you're having to project your voice for extended periods of time, so I'm thinking about like teaching or coaching, singing, anywhere that you're going to be using your voice really as an instrument, you're going to put some abuse or at the very least strain on your vocal cords, and that will cause your voice to change over time. Okay, so let's fast forward to maybe 10, I think it was about 15 years later. Now we're on another show of hers, and she's a little bit older, and you can start to see the change in her voice. Now, I feel like this is a natural change that comes with aging, but we always want to think about the fact that she has been now using her voice consistently as sort of her instrument for several years. So let's take a look at that video and listen to how her voice already sounds different.
Oh, thank you, but before I accept your hospitality, Mr. Higgins, I think I should explain that my visit is not entirely social.
It is not?
No, not exactly. You see, well, the truth is, what I'm trying to say is,
Why don't you stop spitting on the handle and get to hoeing?
So as you can see, it's still very smooth and clear. There's not, there's not something that stands out to me as pathological, but you can hear the bass in her voice, and it is heavier. I think she still sounds very good, very professional and clear, but you can hear the change there. So now we're going to look at what she sounded like at the end of her life. And there is a very distinct change. So let's take a look at that video.
And no, I wouldn't try to top it. I like to work. I miss not working, and I miss Viv very much, and Bill, and the whole show, the whole arena I miss. But you don't go back.
So what do you do? Give us a typical Lucille Ball day.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Now here, she sounds drastically different, right? There's no way around it. She sounds very different. Her voice is very deep. And at this point, it's no longer just deep. It is what I would call raspy, a little hoarse. And there's kind of a grit to it. So as I'm thinking, as a speech therapist, we don't always have an ability to view the vocal cords. But as I'm listening to her voice and thinking about what her vocal cords would have to do in order to sound like this, I would guess that she has some sort of calluses or some sort of disturbance that is disrupting the way that her vocal cords are interacting with each other. I talked about this in a previous video, talking about a coach named Ed Orgeron. He's a football coach, or he was a football coach out of LSU, most notably. And I guessed that his voice was also caused by vocal nodules. And these can happen when you have overuse of your vocal cords. I kind of hinted at that before, and I think that's probably what is going on with her. I took a look at the history, and I didn't see any sort of disorders that impacted her in the way that it would impact her voice, if that makes sense, towards the end of her life. So that would be my guess. And like I said, it often has to do with just using your voice a lot. And I would say not just using your voice a lot, but also kind of playing around with your voice, like doing things that cause unnatural positions of your vocal cords. So like if you're doing a high pitched sound, your vocal cords will stretch. If you're doing a heavier sound, they'll retract. And she played around with her voice quite a bit. So because she's a performer. She played around with her voice quite a bit. And I think that definitely caused some strain on it over time. Something else lifestyle wise that I looked into was that she was a smoker her entire life. And if you know anything about smoking cigarettes or anything else, when you inhale it, that smoke has to go through your vocal cords in order to get into your lungs and all of those good things or not so good things. That constant smoke can cause damage to the vocal cords and further contribute to your voice changing and, just overall difficulties speaking over time. So she also was a smoker, and we can't discredit that impact on her voice. So I think it's important to include that as well. I hope that it was helpful in explaining why she sounded so different. I think it's natural to have a heaviness to your voice as you get older as a woman, but there was definitely a more pathological change, in my opinion. So thank you to that subscriber for asking that question. I hope that it's more clear now why she sounded so different. Just by the way, if you guys do have questions or ideas that you want me to address, I'm always open to it. I make these videos to inform and educate. So if there's someone out there that has a question, leave a comment and I'll definitely respond to it. And if it's video worthy, then I'll make a video about it. I hope you guys are doing well. As always, thanks for checking out this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.